Today we'll be talking about Alvin in this video as well. Already did another character one of Brittany. I'll do all of them eventually, but it just might take some time. So anyway, yes, I put a video up this year and it just hit 1.8k views on YouTube. So thank you guys so much. Also last year, I think it was before I got COVID. Also last year I put a video up that reached 2k, and that is amazing. Usually my videos don't hit those kind of numbers. Or I guess it depends on what the video is, but just to see a lot of Ks and stuff of 1k and 2k, usually my shorts get more Ks than all my other videos. So thank you guys so much. It really means a lot to me. So yeah, so anyway, we're just going to talk about Alvin in this video as well. So let's get into it, shall we? Go back to where it all started in the 60s, because the Alvin Chipmunks did appear in the Alvin show back in the 60s. Was it 1961 or was it the 1960s? I'm not sure. But he appeared in that show, although even though Alvin was a lot shorter, so I was a bit taller than Alvin, and also Theodore was the in-between height as well. So I'm glad they kind of changed the height difference. Alvin's kind of in the between height and Theodore's more of the shorter one as well. So yeah, I didn't grow up with the Alvin show. I've seen some clips. I've seen one episode where it's Alvin dealing with his inner ego, as you say. And I don't remember, now I didn't grow up with the 80s show or anything. We'll talk about the live action films later on. But I didn't actually grow up with the 80s show or the Alvin show, so I'm not sure if I'm wrong about this, but I never thought Alvin was as vain as he is. I'm not sure if he's as egotistical as he is. I'm not sure. Is Alvin vain and narcissistic about himself? I don't know. I don't think he is. That's more of a Brittany thing. Usually Brittany is more vain about her appearance than Alvin is, so that leads to question why. But I don't think Alvin is as vain as he is, to some people as well. So he did appear in the 80s as well. So to the live action movies now. Now I grew up with this version of Alvin Chipmunks. This was my first introduction of Alvin Chipmunks, as you guys know. But when I was a kid, I was thinking like 5 years old. I think if you've known me, I've repeated this story before, but I don't remember what happened because it was such a long time ago. But I remember just hiding behind the couch, and then Alvin Chipmunks appeared on TV, and that sort of changed my life forever. And now I'm like their biggest fan. Etc. But the Chipmunks sort of changed my life when I was a kid, and I was a huge fan of the live action movies. I grew up with the live action movies my whole entire life. So yeah, that is something when something gives you so much of it as well. Alvin is my favorite. I also like Brittany, but Alvin and Brittany are my favorite. But when Brittany was on screen, Alvin was always my favorite. Even before Brittany came along, he was still my favorite. I just like how cool he is. He is the awesomest one, as he proclaims to be. He's just so cool, and also he's just, he's got a lot of layers to him as well, but he's just so cool in so many ways. And also, don't forget, Alvin's very mischievous, and I can be a bit tongue-in-cheek sometimes. I can be very sassy sometimes, but I can also have that tongue-in-cheek. And I just like having fun. I think I relate to Alvin so much because I'm just so fun-loving as well, and so I like to have fun. I like to make people smile, so I think that's a big thing to put in as well. But Alvin, I just love Alvin so much. I think he's a great character to look upon as well. Alvin's all those feeds, he does have a heart. He can be a jerk sometimes, which he does proclaim and, says to himself sometimes. His emotional scenes made me so emotional. During Shipwrecked, the one when I was talking to Brittany was also emotional. I could have even watched that. And also when he was talking, when Dave found them, he was talking to Dave as well, and that was pretty emotional for me as well. Like, Alvin, why are you making me so emotional? It's just too much. But in the CGI films, I really liked how Dave and Alvin's relationship was. I really liked how they connected as well, like that father and son story type, like I was mentioning to you before. And I liked how in the end of the movie, they sort of made up. And I was like, oh, that's sweet. That's very touching. I wish they would continue that on, but unfortunately they didn't. It's such a missed opportunity right there. about the 2015 show. I do like how they redesigned Alvin here. He looks way too cringy. And also, did anyone else realize, in season 1, I felt like Alvin had no shoulders, and then in other seasons he had shoulders, so I'm not sure maybe that was an animation error, but also, I can't complain because during the seasons of the show, the CGI series, his animation progressed so well. So I'm like, wow, that's really good animation on Alvin. They must have worked on him a lot because he is the main character of the show. So there's that. But I really liked how they captured the essence of Alvin, even though it's a different format of the show as well. And later seasons of the show, they've dubbed him pretty dirty, like in season 5. I couldn't even bear to watch season 5. I'm like, what are you doing to my favorite character, Alvin? He shouldn't be doing this. But was there redemption yet? I guess there was in a way, but I was just a bit burned out. I think the CGI series sort of broke my inner chipmunk, inner heart feed, so that was pretty hard. But yeah, other than that, what did I like? Well, Alvin doesn't have a lot of change in the CGI series. I mean, he's the same through and through, but there's not a lot of change than all the other characters. So, I do like how they focus more on sports. I did like how I did like in one episode they focused on karate. What was that in the other later seasons? They should have focused on that. It was just one per episode, which was stupid. I also liked how he did baseball as well, but I mean, why couldn't he just go on the football team? I mean, in the Squinkle he did that. I wish they would have, like, nostalgia. I know the CGI series is different to the movies, but they could have just, like, made Alvin go on the football team because that would just bring my nostalgia back as well because he did do that in the Squinkle as well. I also liked how in the series he's more caring about his brothers. I know he was kind of caring in the CGI movies and not so much in the 80s, but there's more like a big brotherly bond, particularly between Simon and Alvin. I think they fleshed out Simon and Alvin really well. Like in the 80s, it was more about them arguing a lot, which I didn't really like. So I liked how in this series it showed like more of their brotherly fleshed out relationship. So I really enjoyed that as well. So, back to the feed. Is Alvin vain? I mean, for some reason, when I was watching the show, I'm not sure if you caught this as well. When I was watching the 2015 show, I'm like, did they make Alvin's personality persona like the 80s? Because you get that vibe of like, this is exactly like the 80s. Like, I don't understand it. It's so weird. So, I feel like there's no change in Alvin. There's some noticeable changes, but not a lot. So it's sort of like they've sort of copy and paste Alvin into this version as the 80s version because when you watch the show, you'll understand. When you watch the show, it's so much like the 80s, which is ridiculous because usually like they would change him in some way. But although they haven't really changed Alvin, they've changed all the other characters, which I'm surprised, but they've kept Alvin the same. So I'm not sure why that is. Maybe because they don't want to touch him. So maybe that's what it is. And also, how can we not forget that he is a city chipmunk as well, like musically and talentedly as well. And I guess when you say when Alvin gets threatened by his star or when someone takes his place or someone steals the spotlight from him, it's like, hey, excuse me, I was here first, so I guess it's sort of protective of his celebrity status, which I understand. Especially if there's a Chipettes involved, he'll be like, excuse me, Brittany, get your own spotlight, this is mine, you're not going to take this away from me. So I feel like it's a bit threatened by that. And that's totally normal. I think Alvin has every right to be protective of his star, because he is a star of the show, so if someone else took over, then he would probably get threatened by that as well. But I was going to say, even though Alvin does a lot of things, like at the core of a center or with his heart, of course, he does generally care about his family and his brothers and stuff like that. And there's moments where I'm like, Alvin, you just insulted yourself just to make a point. I'm like, that is fantastic. You don't see Brittany doing that as well. And like, wow, you just insulted yourself to care for someone else. That's just incredible. So I liked how they're fleshing him out more in that regard as well, even though season 5 didn't do that as well. The only thing I will say about Alvin is there are moments in the CGI series of the press feed that they released that say that there's a mature Alvin, because when you see Alvin in the 80s and the 60s, he's not as mature. And I can see that a little, but there are times when he kind of snaps into it, like, right, I'm going to be mature about this, I'm going to be responsible. Sometimes he doesn't, But if I were them, I would focus leaning on more of the mature side of Alvin, because when you look at Alvin, and when you look at the fan base, as all of us as audiences, the fan base is growing up, maturing up more. So you need to follow that example and follow the audience, because Alvin has a sense of childlike wonder, but when you're an adult, or when you're getting older, when you're growing up, you kind of grow out of that. So they've got to mature Alvin up with the audience, because if they keep it the way it is, then they're going to lose their audience, and I don't think we want to see that happen. So they have to do something about that. In Road Trip, I was also surprised there was also a mature themed Alvin, so maybe they could do that. That's only one complaint I have, but yes, but I love Alvin. Alvin was the first thing that got me into the franchise. I love it so much. It was such a shame that the CGI series was so bad and poorly. I would be like, what are you doing to Alvin? This is terrible. Why are you doing this to him? So yeah, so I love Alvin so much. I think he's so great. He's still one of my favorites today, even though I do love Brittany as well. But I love Alvin. He's just such a great character. Like how mischievous he is as well. So that's all I've got time, guys. Make sure to like, share, subscribe to Melissa Media. Also, you can follow me on Instagram.